In this video, we're going to be looking at what it takes to replace a front control arm on this 12 scale Rlaarlo vehicle because I broke it at a skate park. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy and this is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing and crawling and drifting and racing, sometimes doing product review videos, and like this one, a how-to. And I recently was at the skate park and I crashed my Rlaarlo buggy and it looked something like this. Ooh, ouch. And as you can see, the skate park won and the buggy did not. Which means that I am here to show you how to replace this front control arm. As we go to fix this control arm, some of the best news is the kit actually comes with the parts that you need in order to fix it right in the box. So it comes as part of that accessory kit, so you have everything already. We're going to start by getting the wheel off and seeing what it takes to get all the parts off of this control arm. With the control arm off, we can easily just slide the hex off. That's easy enough. It's just keyed on there. Looks like we're going to have to take this pin loose down here to get this part off. We're going to need to take the screw off for the shock itself. And then once we start to get this loose, we're probably not going to be able to get to this until the control arm is actually off, but we're going to have to loosen up this part of the sway bar. And we're going to get this pin that goes through the whole control arm here. We're going to have to get that off. So the pin, the shock, the sway bar, and this pin on this side for that hub. And I believe at that point we will be free. With those two parts out of the way, we can then get down here with just enough room to get our 1.5 millimeter into this small screw that holds the sway bar on here from the back side. And of course, this last step is going to be the most complicated. So 2 millimeter hex is going to go in here on this side to loosen up this pin, but it has a nut on the back side of it way in here. So we're going to actually need to get a pair of needle nose down in there to hold it while we loosen this up to get that out. Even with that nut out, it still won't actually, this pin won't come out past this front bumper. So you take 2 screws out here at the front of the chassis, and then you can actually wiggle and pull the front bumper loose, and then the pin will be able to then slide out. With that pin out, I now have the broken control arm, and what's interesting is you can't actually hardly tell that the control arm is broken as I hold it here, but if you put the pin in, and you flex it, I don't know if it'll come through on the GoPro, but it's actually cracked right there at the seam where the control arm is made. That might be a weak spot on this vehicle if this continues to happen. So we'll watch for that and see if that's a deal. But again, like I said, the good news, they send you spares in the box. So we're just going to use these. We'll be in good shape. Please be careful as you do grab your spares because the fronts and the rears look very similar, except the fronts are just a little bit shorter, so you want to make sure that you're putting on that shorter one. Otherwise, you're going to go through a lot of work and be sad when the drive shaft doesn't bolt up. I now have the corner of this car all put back together, and there are 3 things that I want to warn you about as you go about the reassembly. So the first thing is getting this pin through here is not very hard, but getting that nut back on there without cross-threading it and getting it straight does take some time, and it does take some wiggling. Be patient, make sure you get that on there right, because if you ever need to take it off again, you will regret it. Second thing, make sure that your drive shaft stays in the diff cup right here on this side. As you're doing all this, very easy for it to fall out, and you'll have to be taking part of this back apart if you have to redo that. Lastly, make sure you pay attention to where the shocks are actually mounted in the control arms. There are 2 holes here, so you can actually choose 2 different locations to potentially mount that in as you put it all back in. My buggy's now ready to get back out there and do some more fun runs, speed runs, and bashing. What I'm going to ask you to do is go down in the comments and let me know if you watched this video and if it was useful for you. I do these sometimes and I never know if people actually really need them or enjoy them. So if you'd go down and let me know if this was helpful for you, I really would appreciate it. So thank you. I hope this was useful, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.